Welcome to the Back on Track Achieving Healthy Weight Loss podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Alicia Shelley, and today we're tackling a hot topic that's been all over social media and even showing up in patient discussions: microdosing GLP1 medications. If you've seen videos or posts about taking just a little bit of Ozempic, Wegovy, or Mounjaro, or Zepbound every week, that is actually referred to as microdosing. And you might be wondering, does that actually work? And more importantly, is it safe? In this episode, we're going to be talking about what microdosing GLP-1s really mean, why some people are trying it, and what the science says, and what you need to know before making any changes to your treatment plan. So let's jump in. First, let's define what we're talking about. GLP-1 medications like semaglutide, which is the generic name for Wegovy or Ozempic, and tirzepatide is the generic name for Zepbound and Mounjaro, have been designed to mimic a natural hormone in your body called GLP-1. This hormone helps regulate blood sugar, digestion, and appetite. These medications can be incredibly effective for weight loss and diabetes management, especially when used at the correct and clinically tested doses. Now, microdosing is a term that's borrowed from the world of psychedelics. You know, when I think of psychedelics, I think of like hippies, but back in the day. And even though people are doing it now, actually, there's been some celebrities who've mentioned taking psychedelics. But anyway, I digress. And basically, microdosing means taking a very, very small subtherapeutic dose of something to get benefits without full effects. And in the case of GLP-1s, microdosing often means taking smaller than recommended doses, sometimes just a fraction of the prescribed amount. And what people do is that if you have like a pen that you see with Ozempic, they'll kind of count the clicks instead of going to the actual dose on the pen. For those that actually have a pen like the Mounjaro or Zepbound, or even Wegovy, that's a prescribed amount, people have showed how they've dismantled the shot and kind of taken, the liquid inside and used it at a small amount to help them gain some benefit. And there are many reasons why people doing it. Some might be trying to save money, trying to reduce side effects because they've heard it helps them ease into the medication more gently. And I completely understand why some people might consider this approach, because GLP-1s are quite expensive. And unfortunately, not everyone's insurance covers them. And at this point, to pay for it out of pocket may be like a car note. And so sometimes that may be difficult for people. And there may be other people who've had tough experiences or have heard of family members and friends who've had tough experiences with GLP-1s and with their side effects. And they want to avoid that at all costs. That nausea, bloating, constipation that we can see with some of these medications, it can be scary for people. And they're looking for a gentler way to start. Now, there's also another group I'd like to talk about, which is the super responders. These are individuals who seem to respond extremely well, even to low doses of GLP-1 medications. Some people may notice weight loss and other benefits, even by taking smaller or what we would call microdoses. But I will say, for these people, it's not a one-size-fits-all type of solution. And everyone's body is different. And so the dosing schedules that are used in clinical trials are carefully tested to balance safety and effectiveness. And so therefore, and we'll talk a little bit more about why, you shouldn't do the microdosing. And I always tell patients that I can't look at you and tell you how your body's going to respond. We just have to try it and find out. So what does the research say about microdosing GLP-1 medications? And right now, not much. There's very little scientific evidence to support that microdosing GLP-1s provides the same long-term benefits as standard medical approved dosing. And even professional organizations, including the American Diabetes Association, does not endorse microdosing. Their stance is based on the fact that there isn't enough evidence or research to prove that it's safe or effective. And these medications were studied extensively at specific doses to show benefits for blood sugar control, cardiovascular protection, and sustained weight loss. And when you take less than the recommended dose, you just don't know what you're getting. And you may be trying to get the same benefits, but most likely it will be lower. So let's talk about the potential downsides. When people microdose GLP-1s on their own, they might be using a compounded or a diluted version, or like I said, they may be breaking down a full pen. But you know what? It's not FDA approved. I mean, these are products who have been tested, the Wegovy, the Zepbound, and the other ones have been tested. And so when you're taking less, a diluted version or a compounded version, you may not know what you're actually getting. And the products can vary in purity and potency, meaning you may be getting something that's a lot less effective and therefore not beneficial to you when you're trying to lose weight. And of course, when that dose is low, you may not get enough GLP-1 activity to control that appetite or blood sugar. And on the flip side, if you take the wrong dose, it could still cause a side effect like nausea or fatigue. So it doesn't mean that you won't experience these side effects. And then there's the issue of titration. The step-by-step increase your doctor recommends isn't just about comfort. It's about giving your body time to adjust to the medication safely. So skipping steps, or staying too low of a dose or for too long may actually make it harder to tolerate future increases. So what should you be doing instead? The best approach is, if you're concerned about side effects or the cost of GLP-1s, is to talk to your healthcare provider before making any changes in your regimen. There may be ways to adjust your titration plan, manage your side effects, or just connect you with medication assistance programs that may be beneficial. Your provider can help you personalize your dosing safely, but within the framework that keeps you protected and ensures you get the benefits these medications are meant to deliver. Remember, GLP-1 medications are not just one part of a larger treatment plan. Combining them with nutrition, physical activity, and behavioral support is what truly leads to lasting results. So let's recap today's episode. Number 1, some people may notice results on lower doses of GLP-1 medications, and we call them super responders. But it's important that those lower medications are what is recommended by the manufacturer. I have people, we keep them on the 2.5 or 5 milligrams dose of the Zepbound because it works for them, or they may be on the low dose of Ozempic because it works for them, and that is okay. But I wouldn't start you off at an even lower dose because I don't know how effective that will be and whether it'll be worth it for the patient. So number 2, there is no research to back up microdosing as a safe, effective, long-term approach. That's why professional organizations don't endorse it. And number 3, the safest, most effective way to adjust your dose is under the guidance of a licensed healthcare provider. So if you are curious about microdosing or struggling with costs or side effects, don't go at it alone. Talk to your doctor. That's why they're there. And there are safe and effective ways to personalize your care, but it's better to do it with a provider, a licensed healthcare provider. I thank you so much for joining me today on the Back on Track Achieving Healthy Weight Loss podcast. I hope this cleared up some confusion about microdosing GLP-1s, and I gave you some confidence to make some informed decisions about your health and what's next steps for you. And if you found this episode helpful, please share it with a friend or colleague who might benefit. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss your next episode. Until next time, I'm Dr. Alicia Shelley, reminding you to stay strong, stay committed, and stay consistent. And we will see you next time.